What happens when you know what you are good at, you are clear about what you love, and you see exactly where you can make a difference, but the doors just aren't opening? Hey everyone, welcome back to Embrace Our Calling. I'm marcusmok, and today we are wrapping up our journey through the 4 A's of finding your calling. So over the past few episodes, we have explored how to discover your calling through your abilities, which is the skills and talents that God has given to you, your affinities, that are the things that naturally draw your heart, and your awareness, that is the needs that you see in the world around you. But here's the thing, that what happens when you have all three? You know what you are good at, you are clear about what you love, and you see exactly where you could make a difference, but the doors just aren't opening. So there is this insightful Chinese saying, to gain success in battle and in life, you need three things: 天时地利人和. 天时 means that you need heaven's timing or the opportune timing. 地利 means that you need a geographical advantage. And 人和 means you need human harmony, which is you need the support of the people. And all three things must come together in order to ensure success. So when we talk about access to opportunities, we are saying that even when all our abilities, affinity, and awareness of human needs are aligned, we will still need to wait for God's opportune timing, or 天时 as our Chinese saying goes. So today I want to illustrate this wisdom about God's timing with a real life example. So you see here, last week, I received an email from a viewer named Kelly. With her permission, I want to share her story, and I invite you to take a moment to really hear her heart. So Carrie writes that I'm 29 years old, and my parents are getting tired of me living at home. I just graduated nursing school, but I don't want to be a nurse. I generally like beauty care, medical care, therapeutic care, but I'm stuck trying to find what job fits me best. I love doing skincare and face masks, hair masks, but I don't even know where to start or go. And so she continues, I prayed countless times, and it has been 8 months of no messages or visions from God. I put in numerous resumes and no one has contacted me. I don't even know what I want to do anymore. It is depressing me, and everyone has a job except me. Now just let that sink in for a moment. Can you sense the weight of uncertainty, the pressure of expectation, the silence of waiting? Now, if you're watching this, I bet some part of Kelly's story resonates with you. Maybe you are also trained in one field but being pulled in another direction, waiting for doors to open despite months of trying, wrestling with the pressure of family expectation, or just wondering why God seems to be silent when you need direction most. This is exactly what we mean when we talk about access, that gap between knowing your direction and finding an open door to the opportunity that you need. So, there is this story in the Bible that always comes to mind when I think about these seasons of waiting. It is about the man Joseph. He's a young man who clearly knew his calling. At the age of 17, God gave him dreams that pointed to his future leadership. In Genesis 37, we read about how he saw sheaves of wheat bowing to his feet, and then the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing to him. So as Genesis 37 verse 5 to 7 tells us, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. So that was Joseph when he was young, and they call him Joseph the Dreamer. But look at what happened next. Instead of immediate fulfillment of this prophetic dream, Joseph's path led through some incredibly dark valleys. His brothers sold him into slavery. He ended up in Egypt, serving in Potiphar's house. And just when things seemed to improve, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Genesis 39 verse 20 to 21 reads, Joseph's master took him and put him in prison. But while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him. Now, notice something crucial here, that even in prison, scripture tells us that the Lord was with him. Joseph's circumstances hasn't changed, but God's presence never left him. And what did Joseph do during these years of waiting? He served faithfully wherever he was placed. In Potiphar's house, he managed the household. In the prison, he took care of other prisoners. So much so that in Genesis 39 verse 27 says that the warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. 13 years passed between his dreams and their fulfillment. 13 years of what might have felt like detours to him. But when the moment finally came, when Pharaoh needed someone to interpret his dreams for him, all those years of faithful service, of all those seemingly random experiences in Joseph's life suddenly make sense. Genesis 41 verse 39 to 40 says, Then Pharaoh said to Joseph that since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your order. So, your current situation, whether it is living with parents like Kelly, working in a job that doesn't feel like your calling, or waiting for doors to open, let me tell you that this is not a detour. Like Joseph, you are in preparation for something bigger than what you can see right now. And sometimes what we are called to do and what we are currently able to do can feel like worlds apart. So maybe you're like Kelly, you're trained in nursing, but you dream of doing something different. Or maybe you're working in a job that feels nothing like your calling. So here's something crucial that I want you to understand. Being in a season where you have to take work that is less than ideal, that is okay. Having to make choices of what job to take based on economic reality or family needs, that is okay too. You see, in Tony's Stoltzfus book, The Calling Journey, he talks about how there are different stages in our journey in finding our calling, much like hiking through a trail of mountains and valleys. And in our valley years, God is preparing us for the next stage of our life. He is shaping our character, chiseling away our flaws, and sharpening our devotion to Him. So, even when you feel stuck where you are still in God's hands. And He is preparing you for the next phase of your life. So, if you want to check out this book, I'll leave a link in the description below. For now, let's talk about what you already have, Kelly. When you mentioned nursing school, I noticed something interesting. You said that you like medical care, therapeutic care, beauty care. Now, there is a common thread over here because you seem to have what I call a healer's personality. You're someone who finds joy in seeing others restored to wholeness and wellness. That is not just a nursing trait. It is a calling that can express itself in many ways. Your training as a nurse, it is not wasted just because you might not want to be a traditional nurse. Those skills in understanding health, caring for people, knowing medical principles, now these are valuable knowledge in many fields, including the beauty and wellness industry that you are interested in. But here is something more fundamental. Your primary calling, your relationship with God does not change with your job title. Whether you are a nurse, an aesthetician, or just still figuring out your calling in life, that core identity remains steady. So think about it. Joseph was still fulfilling his calling to be a man of God, whether he was a prisoner or a prime minister of Egypt. The position may change, but the calling didn't. So, what does this mean for us practically? Let me share two key principles that can change how you see your current season. The first key principle is to build bridges and not to burn them. Build bridges, not burn them. Kelly, you mentioned about not wanting to be a nurse, so I can understand that. But what if nursing could be your bridge to where you want to go? If you're interested in therapeutic skincare, could you start by focusing on dermatology nursing? Or could you take weekend courses in aesthetics while working part-time in healthcare? Because many successful career transitions happen gradually, not overnight. The second principle is to be strategic in your waiting. Now, when you send numerous resumes and you didn't get a response, that is not necessarily a no from God. It might be an invitation for you to adjust your approach. Think about Joseph. He didn't just wait in prison, waiting for things to happen, but he managed it with excellence. Your season of waiting is also a season of preparation. Sometimes we pray for doors to open, and God answers our prayer by sending people who can help us improve our approach. So these practical steps, they are not separate from your spiritual journey, but they are a part of it. So Kelly mentioned praying for 8 months without hearing from God, and that kind of silence can be painful. But remember this, that God's silence doesn't mean his absence. God's silence doesn't mean his absence. Sometimes God's greatest work happens in those waiting seasons. So your primary calling, your relationship with God, this is where you find your identity during uncertain seasons. Whether the doors are open or closed, this remains constant. So Kelly, if you are watching this right now, I want you to know that your story matters. Your struggle in this season is not wasted time. That nursing degree, it is an asset. That heart for helping others feel their best, that is a gift. You are in what I call a bridge season, where you're moving from where you are to where you feel called to be. And that's okay. This season has its purpose. And to everyone who is watching, whether you see yourself in Kelly's story or whether you are facing your own waiting season, remember this. Access is not just about doors opening to you. It is about that preparation to meet God's perfect timing. So as we conclude our journey through the 4 A's of calling, I want you to understand how Access completes this framework. Now, while ability shows us what we can do, and affinity reveals what we love doing, awareness points to where we are needed, access teaches us to trust God's timing while taking faithful action. So this waiting upon God until he opens the door for way is part of finding our calling. This journey of finding and living out your calling is not meant to be walked alone. And that is why Kelly's story matters so much. Her willingness to share her struggle has already helped create this episode, and I know that it will encourage many of you watching this. Speaking of journeys, next episode we have something special in store for you. I will be sitting down with Kenneth Kwan, who is an entrepreneur and a public speaker who once made that bold transition from being an engineer to public speaking. Now, his story also echoes Joseph's journey. It is winding, but it is guided by the hand of God. And God revealed his plans to him one step at a time. And I'm sure you would want to catch his insights on navigating career transition while following God's calling in your life. Hey, before you go, I would love to stay connected with you on this journey. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to right now, and visit me at embraceourcalling.com for more resources to help you on your calling journey. Until next time, this is marcusmok and you're watching Embrace Our Calling. See you.